Yo, still Bills, what's the deal, man? Yo, I'm off the clock. I got off the clock a little bit earlier. I was able to get out and make my runs early on this Friday. Make my food runs early. Just got done picking up the last bit of grub. I'm going to pick up my kids from school, so when they get out of school, they just get hit with the McDonald's right then and there, and I ain't got to worry about taking a whole nother hour out of my day to go and get this out the way. But peep game, man, we got to get into something, man, and that's man, listen, man. This is why it doesn't it hinders you when you push narratives, man. I came across a channel, Trill Boxing Talk. Trill Boxing Talk allegedly. And shout out to that brother. But and maybe this isn't true, but I was looking after Earl lost to Bud, he just decided to shut down his channel. And maybe it's a little bit more nuanced than that. Maybe that could have been the straw that broke the camel's back. Maybe it could have just been something going on around all that shit, and he just so happened to be fed up and shut down after Earl Spence lost in the manner that he lost in. And it may not even be because Earl Spence lost a fight. It's just a multitude of other circumstances surrounding his life. But it all, culminated around the time that Earl Spence lost the fight. It could be a multitude of things, man, but it just looks funny. It looks funny, man. And this is why it helps, or this is why it hurts to be so fully invested in one fight and not the entirety of the sport. Because once that fight happens, there's nothing else to look forward to. There's not, because if you ask me, I don't think a rematch is necessary. There's going to be the same result. So I'm not looking forward to a rematch. I'm honestly not. There's bigger fish to fry. No pun intended. Much bigger fish to fry. Much bigger fights to be had. Now that this fight has happened, a lot of people they just can't cope with the fact that Earl Spence lost in the manner that he lost in, and the fact that the fight is over and there's nothing else to look forward to. He lost. So where do we go from here? And when you spend 5 years out of your life talking about this fight, and it finally happens, and it doesn't happen in the capacity that you wanted it to happen in, you can fuck out of here. You can't you can't cope with it. It becomes unbearable. The pain becomes too unbearable for you to deal with, and you can't face that reality. It's a grim reality, man. So this is why it pays to just be a fan of the sport and not the fighters, because all of these fighters are at risk of losing. Because as I stated before, it's only a few set amount of people in this world who will be able to deal with these fighters. It's only even be in the vicinity of where you can possibly beat them. Not even for sure beat them, but possibly beat them. That's the level that these fighters are on, man. So when one fighter loses, it shouldn't be like the end of the world, like he needs to retire and all that. Nah, it just, he fought the better man that night. And that's just what that is. But some people just can't deal with that because they just live and die by these fighters, man. I'm not going to cap when it's a fighter that I'm rooting for and he loses. I'm upset about it. I was upset when Danny Jacobs lost to John Ryder. I was extremely upset about that. When Anthony Joshua lost to Usyk, I was upset about that. When he lost to Ruiz, I was upset about that. When Canelo lost to Bivol, I wasn't upset. I knew it, even though I didn't want to see him lose. Shit like this happens, you know what I'm saying? So you roll with the punches and you keep it pushing. But when you are just fully invested in the one fighter, man, you're playing yourself. You're playing yourself. The pushing of the narratives and everything, man. What happens when all that shit gets blown up in your face? It's just best to be a fan of the sport, so you don't end up looking like a buffoon. And I'm not saying that brother looks like a buffoon, but he, it does look a little skeptical that his channel all of a sudden shut down a few weeks after the Bud versus Spence fight, one of the biggest fights in the sport at the moment, one of the biggest gates in the history of the sport over here in North America. And for you to get beat like that, for your man to get crashed like that, it's like, yo, man, like how do I cope with this? Be a fan of the sport first, man. Be a fan of the sport first. Because once these fighters that you're fans of retire or they lose or they just start experiencing hardships as far as winning, they just can't seem to get their legs back up under them. Where do you go from there? When you propagate bullshit, look at all the fighters look at all the people who was propagating the bullshit about Canelo Alvarez. You don't hear as much venom about him in the now because he signed a 3-fight deal to the PBC. I haven't seen too many Clinello shit and oh man, the white Mexican. I haven't seen that as much. It's not as vibrant as it before it was when he was signed to Eddie Hearn and Matchroom. Now all of a sudden niggas is, oh shit, that's the homie right there. He finna look out. This is why it just helps. You can even not be a fan of somebody, man, but learn how to call it down the middle. You niggas look brazy right now. You look brazy right now. You don't have. It's no more money to be made off that fight because it already happened. And now that it happened and it go in your favor, and you look goofy. Just stay on the straight and narrow, man. That's what it all boils down to. Stay on the straight and narrow. I'm a big Canelo fan. I knew for a fact, I'm like, he's not about to be. I can't see him beating Bivol. I can't see him beating Bivol. I had no issue with saying that. After I sat back and unpacked the situation in totality, I'm like, I can't see this dude beating Bivol. It was what it was, and I ended up being right. It's okay. These fighters are gonna lose. Some of them are gonna get knocked out. Some of them are gonna get badly outclassed. It just is what it is, man. That does not make them horrible fighters. That doesn't mean that their career is over. That doesn't mean you as a content creator should cease to exist. Because the more people that are talking about boxing, you got to think boxing is far behind football, basketball, baseball, soccer. It's probably even behind hockey. Shit, and at this point, it's getting to a point where they're behind MMA. Because MMA gives niggas the fights that they want. So these content creators on YouTube, they're a necessity. Even the toxic ones, they're a necessity. Because it's continuing to give a platform to the sport that we love. And that's just the long and short of it. But you play yourself when you just are relegated to just one fight happening. It's he who knows his sports nigga is just unraveling at the seams because he just can't cope with the fact that Bud is just far better than Spence. This dude has made a multitude of videos. Now, Canelo allegedly, Billy Joe Saunders was in on the conspiracy to get stopped in the round to go to the hospital and get it, have to have surgery, facial reconstructive surgery after Canelo broke his shit. It's always something when a fighter that you're a detractor of wins. Canelo, oh man, that was a conspiracy. That was he took a fall. Just real childish, corny, dumb nigga shit. Like, y'all dudes just ain't got no shame. No shame whatsoever. Fast forward to just a month ago, Bud had egg weights and all that in his gloves. You just can't make shit up like this, man. It's like y'all are really some dense-minded ass niggas. Y'all just cannot take the fact that your man lost. It just is what it is. This is why it's favorable when you're a fan of the sport, you understand that shit like this happens. When you're a fan of the sport, fighters lose, they get knocked out, they get completely outclassed and outboxed. They get embarrassed. It isn't the end of the world, though. At least it doesn't have to be. Go ahead. So that's pretty much how I'm feeling, man. Stop the presses. It ain't that deep, my niggas. Niggas lose every day, B. That don't mean you gotta kill your content, man. You put all that effort into creating a page just to get shut down because the nigga got crashed, man. I'm out, bro.